Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Amaswat Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Sthitare Srismadhati Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sam Khand Radha Khand Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Guru Dwarka Dham Ki Jai Swami Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai All glories to the Assembly. All glories to the Assembly. Thank you very much.
All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. Glories to you, Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our revered speaker for today, His Grace SARVATMA Prabhu. And all glories to assembled Vaishnava devotees. Devotees, we thank you for being here. And His Grace SARVATMA Prabhu, thank you for being here. As always, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it is an honor and privilege to have your association. So I think we're discussing 3:10:10 today. So I'll put the verse on the screen and then you take it over from here.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Is that noise coming from you? The children?
Yeah, the noise is coming. So I'll check.
That's okay. It's a nice soothing background of children crying. Soon all the adults will be crying as well, as soon as I start speaking. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Nasta Prayeshavadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavatyutama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki. Okay, we are reading from the third canto, 10th chapter, verse number 10. And if you indulge me, Sahadev Prabhu, I will probably like to read the verse 11 too, because it's related. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Vidura uvacha yat Hathavahurupasya hararadbhuta karmana kalakyam lakshanam brahman yata varnayana prabhu. Okay, you want to scroll now to the English? Let's go straight to the verse. Translation and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Vidura inquired from Maitreya, O my Lord, O greatly learned sage, kindly describe eternal time, which is another form of the Supreme Lord, the wonderful actor. What are the symptoms of that eternal time? Please describe them to us in detail. The complete universe is a manifestation of varieties of entities, beginning from atoms up to the gigantic universe itself. And all is under the control of the Supreme Lord in his form of Kala, or eternal time. The controlling time has different dimensions in relation to particular physical embodiments. There is a time for atomic dissolution and a time for universal dissolution. There is a time for the annihilation of the body of a human being, and there is a time for the annihilation of a universal body. Also, growth, development, and resultant actions all depend on the time factor. Vidura wanted to know in detail about the different physical manifestations and their times of annihilation. So let's go to the next verse. I would like to read the Sanskrit first, please. Maitreya uvacha guna vyatikara karo nirvishesho pratishtita purushasthadupadanam atmanam lilayashrijat. Maitreya said, eternal time is the primeval source of the interactions of the three modes of material nature. It is unchangeable and limitless, and it works as the instrument of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his pastimes in the material creation. Purport. The impersonal time factor is the background of the material manifestation as the instrument of the Supreme Lord. It is the ingredient of assistance offered to material nature. No one knows where time began and where it ends, and it is time only which can keep a record of the creation, maintenance, and destruction of a material manifestation. This time factor is the material cause of creation and is therefore a self-expansion of the personality of Godhead. Time is considered an impersonal feature of the Lord. The time factor is also explained by modern men in various ways. Some accept it almost as it is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. For example, in Hebrew literature, time is accepted in the same spirit as a representation of God. It is stated therein, God, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spoke in time past unto the fathers by the prophets. Metaphysically, time is distinguished as absolute and real. Absolute time is continuous and is unaffected by the speed or slowness of material things. Time is astronomically and mathematically calculated in relation to the speed, change, and life of a particular object. Factually, however, time has nothing to do with the relativities of things. Rather, everything is shaped and calculated in terms of the facility offered by time. Time is a basic measurement of the activity of our senses, by which we calculate past, present, and future. But in factual calculation, time has no beginning and no end. Chanakya Pandit says that even a slight fraction of time cannot be purchased with millions of dollars, and therefore even a moment of time lost without profit must be calculated as the greatest loss in life. Time is not subject to any form of psychology, nor are the moments objective realities in themselves, but they are dependent on particular experiences. Therefore, Srila Jiva Goswami concludes that the time factor is intermixed with the activities, actions, and reactions of the external energy of the Lord. The external energy or material nature works under the superintendence of the time factor as the Lord himself, and that is why material nature appears to have produced so many wonderful things in the cosmic manifestation. Bhagavad Gita 9.10 confirms this conclusion as follows. Maya dyakshena prakriti suyate chara charam maituna nena kanteya jagat viparivartate. Okay, let's go back to the first verse, please. Yeah, no need to open that verse. Or to translation. Vidura inquired from Maitreya, O my Lord, a great and learned sage, kindly describe eternal time, which is another form of the Supreme Lord, the wonderful actor. What are the symptoms of that eternal time? Please describe them to us in detail. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurimilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatam Vangham Bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyam Ishwaram Panchakalpa Tarvyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyayevacha Patitanam Pavanevyu Vaishnavavyu Namo Namaha. Okay. This is a difficult verse to approach because we don't really have a recollection of eternal time. All we know is what we have in front of us, which is temporary, beginning and end. So it is difficult to ascertain, like how do you approach this issue? How do you even begin to measure time? All we know is things that were there yesterday or years ago, and things that exist today, and perhaps In the future, we're going to see other things. So that's our concept of time. Time is somehow or other linear, appears to be linear, and also appears to be cyclical because things repeat themselves. The actions of individuals, historical events, things that they go and then they come back. And because of this conception, that time is somewhat linear, we think that there is a past that is still there. I mean, as devotees, we shouldn't think like that. Past is past, it's gone. So people talk even from the time that H.G. Wells wrote The Time Machine. People are talking about traveling in time. Like everybody would like to go back to the 1930s and kill Hitler before he rise to power in 1938. Actually, a little earlier. I think it was 1933. In 1938, he became the kind of a chancellor, and then Second World War started. But you can't do that because that doesn't exist anymore. There is no past. The past is just something that happened. However, time, as is understood by Vaishnavas, is eternal. It's always happening. So, but this only takes place in the spiritual world. In the material world, there is no conception of time. We don't understand it. It's just, oh, you were a kid before, now you're an adult. So therefore, that's it. That's the concept of time. However, time doesn't work that way. Time works in that Krishna's pastimes. Time is always present. And we know that the Bhagavad Gita is a compendium of 5 different topics. I mean, yes, of course, it's a dialogue that took place right before a battle between 2 friends, one that was put under the influence of Maya in order for Krishna to speak wonderfully about the mission, the purpose of life, and how duty cannot be given up. But it also talks about 5 different topics, which is Ishvara, the supreme controller, Prakriti, material nature, Jiva, the controlled or the living entities, Kala, which is time, and Karma, which is the only temporary element in those 5 topics. Because karma is subject to the material world, whereas everything else is eternal. Material nature is eternal, is changeable. Time is eternal, it's always there. And so is the Jiva, never perishes, and so is Ishvara, the supreme controller. So the concept of time, it will be, if we require, or if we wanted a scientific explanation, it will have to be someone else to deliver it, as I don't, have the statistics and the numbers and the proper understanding of what time is. But there is a hint given by Srila Prabhupada in his purport. And actually, he very expertly and showing that he's knowledgeable of our other cultures, he quotes the Hebrew text, probably from the Old Testament, about how the conception of time is similar to that of the Srimad Bhagavatam. God, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets. That is pretty much similar to the argument that Arjuna makes. How is it possible that you give me this? You said you spoke the same thing to Vivashvan millions of years ago. I don't remember that, and I wasn't there. But Krishna said, yeah, but I was. I spoke it then, and I speak it now. Because time doesn't transpire for Krishna. He's eternal, and he's eternally young. He doesn't have to be subject to decay and old age and disease and all the things, nor is the living entity. That's why we are so confused, because we think, oh, I was young once, I wish I was 20 again, and so on. But that's gone, because that's the body. The body will never be 20 again. A new body will be 20, but not the body that we have. So all these attempts through Botox and silicone and implants and all this plastic surgery and all the things to keep us young is useless. It's useless. Basically, and I have seen this because I lived in California, that when people when a person is 60, 70, 80, and they get plastic surgery on their face, the neck still looks like that of a 150-year-old turtle, but the face has been clipped from behind and made a knot on. So it's stretched to the point that accelerate the looks of rigor mortis. It's extraordinary how people can live with themselves after doing this. And I'm not talking about botched surgeries. I'm talking about just regular surgeries. We used to go to Tijuana in Mexico, which is on the border with San Diego, to get dental work because it's a lot cheaper. Not only that, but even the dentist in California will say that if you wanted to get a crown or a bridge or something like that, it will cost 3 times more than it will cost in Mexico. And we will have to wait 2 weeks because they send it to Mexico to be done. So why wait? We just went to Mexico and got the work done. So in Tijuana, which is a small town meant to attract tourists and bewilder students just to go get drunk during spring break, there are 2 things operating in Tijuana. One is dentists. There is more dentists per block that I've ever seen anywhere, and plastic surgery clinics. They're everywhere because it's cheaper, and you can pretend that you're younger. So this is just pretension. And even those who are not getting surgery and are just pretending, we're all pretending. We're all pretending that we are the body. Isn't it incredible? How could we be the body? The body that we had 7 years ago is completely gone. Everything, all new, and decaying quickly. So we will get another one in 7 years, and eventually we'll get the funeral where someone else will actually, through formaldehyde and padding and makeup, will try to make you look as if you were alive or peacefully resting. Because this is, this peaceful rest look is obtained after a lot of hammering, actually. Because usually when someone dies, they have the death stare. They don't look peaceful. It's terrifying. And this is time in the material world. Time, which is, as Krishna said, the destroyer of all worlds. There is a verse, the 11th chapter of the Gita, verse 32. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Kalosmi Loka Saya Krit Pravrido Lokam Samartum Iha Pravrita Ritepi Tvam Na Vavishanti Sarve Yevasita Prati Anikeshu Yoda. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Time I am, the great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people, with the exception of you, the Pandavas. All the soldiers here on both sides will be slain." So this was Krishna's advice to Arjuna. Do not give up your duty. Do not give up your duty. That's all you really have. And that's something to meditate on. Because Arjuna wanted to be a nice guy, be peaceful, retire, let everybody be happy. But there was no happiness to be obtained. Krishna told Arjuna, no, 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 no. It's your duty. You have to do it. Because otherwise, I'll get someone else. I don't want to take the credit. I'll give you the credit. And if you don't want to do it, I'll find someone else. But that's very cowardly of you. And we may not understand how. How is Krishna calling Arjuna a coward? But it makes sense. Because Arjuna was born and bred to be a warrior. And he was only happy being so. Matter of fact, when the Brahmans, when the Pandavas were disguised as Brahmins and in exile, and they had to spend the last year of their exile incognito, so they disguised themselves as Brahmins. And because they grew up in an environment in the mountains and with the yogis and with Brahmins, they knew how to dress like Brahmins. But they had the disadvantage of having very buff bodies, and it's hard. I mean, they wore baggy clothes and all that, but it's hard to disguise someone who looks like a warrior. They were huge people. So when Duryodhana sent spies to see, they could discover where the Pandavas were, and these 5 Brahmins appeared to be good candidates, the spy came back and he said, well, they are Brahmins, but there is something that is kind of puzzling. I've seen all kind of scars that they have, scars from carrying the bow, on the shoulder, scars on their hands from shooting, from swords. They have, and also another thing that seems like it's a dead giveaway is that these Brahmins, all they talk about is weapons. So I'm not sure about, this Brahmins. So Arjuna was not a Brahmin. He was not a yogi that will just retire to the Himalayas and meditate and on the peace, harmony, and goodness of the world. He wanted to reestablish justice. He felt very uneasy with all this injustice done, but he was bewildered. Krishna put him in this condition. And Krishna told him, you cannot give up your duty. That's what your life is for. So again, why would Krishna call him a coward? Because if we are in an assembly, Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, friends, family, whatever, and there is someone who comes with ill intentions to steal, to kill, to rape, to ransack, to vandalize, and there is a soldier or a policeman present within this meeting, even though he's on vacation or off duty or dressed as a French maid, it doesn't matter. It's his duty to intervene and take care of the danger. So this is what happened to Arjuna. He was in a situation where he thought it's better to be peaceful. But Krishna told him, no, 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 that's not your nature. You cannot be peaceful. You have to take care of business. You have to kill all these people. And don't worry about it. They're already dead anyway. I can see that. And Arjuna was puzzled. How can you speak this same knowledge to Vivasvan, the sun god, millions of years ago? And Krishna said, I remember, because time doesn't transpire for me like transpires for everybody else. I remember I was in the same body. I was the same person, whereas everybody else has been transmigrating. So this is actually the vision of a transcendentalist. A transcendentalist sees a gigantic changing body exhibit. That's what the world is like for a transcendentalist. Gigantic changing body exhibit where everybody's in one section of it, going to the next one, and ended up in the ditch and taking another birth. That's the vision of a transcendentalist. Whereas a non-transcendentalist sees like the world is in a hurry because of time. And they try to squeeze more and more enjoyment, accumulate more and more things, and try to do the best business they can, and trying to forget the fact that they're going to die. This is a non-transcendental. So a transcendentalist sees a changing body exhibit where everybody's getting old and dying, and a non-transcendentalist sees this as a rush where one should try to enjoy and rush back, run backwards as much as possible, and try to forget the fact that there is death coming at the end of it. Quite a different perspective. In the Bhagavatam, in the second canto, chapter 2, verse 17. Chapter 3, verse 17. There is a description of time as well. Ayur harati vai pumsam udyanastam chayanaso tasyarte yat kshanonita utama shlokavartaya. Both by rising and by setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all-good personality of Godhead. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, this verse indirectly confirms the greater importance of utilizing the human form of life to realize our lost relationship with the Supreme Lord by acceleration of devotional service. Time and tide wait for no man. In this regard, there's a very interesting sculptor, artist from Scotland. Andy, one second. What's the name of that sculptor that did this, that's this temporary art, Elo? Andy Goldworthy. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Andy Goldworthy. He is actually, you can look him up. There's a nice documentary. He basically uses nature as a canvas. So he may create a sculpture taking twigs of a tree and creating a sculpture that is beautiful, and it will be destroyed by the wind. Or create something in the water, that in a river, that is gorgeous, and yet the water will take it away. And the Buddhist monks, they also create these mandalas, these paintings with colored rice flour, and very intricate, these mandalas. And at the end, when it's complete and when it's perfect and beautiful, they just swipe it, because they understand the nature of the world is temporary. So time and tide, Prabhupada says, quoting the old adage, wait for no man. So the time indicated by the sunrise and the sunset will be uselessly wasted if such time is not properly utilized for realizing identification of spiritual values. Even a fraction of the duration of life wasted cannot be compensated by any amount of gold. Human life is simply awarded to a living entity, Jiva, so that he can realize his spiritual identity and his permanent source of happiness. A living being, especially the human being, is seeking happiness because happiness is a natural situation of a living entity, but he is vainly seeking happiness in the material atmosphere. A living being is constitutionally a spiritual spark of the complete whole, and his happiness can be perfectly perceived in spiritual activities. This is an interesting point, that the living entity is vainly vainly, in vain, and with vanity, seeking happiness in the material atmosphere. But there is no solution there because we're spiritual. No amount of material happiness is going to make us real happy. A living being is constitutionally a spiritual spark of a complete whole, and his happiness can be perfectly perceived in spiritual activities. In other words, until we are situated in spiritual consciousness, our happiness and perfection won't even show up. The Lord is a complete spirit whole, and his name, form, quality, pastimes, entourage, and personality are all identical with him. Once a person comes in contact with any one of the above mentioned energies of the Lord, namely name, form, quality, pastimes, entourage, and personality, through the proper channel of devotional service, the door to perfection is immediately open. In the Bhagavad Gita 240, the Lord has explained such context in the following words: endeavors in devotional service are never baffled, nor there is failure. A slight beginning of such activities is sufficient even to deliver a person from a great ocean of material fears. It may take a while, but is enough. As a highly potent drug injected intravenously acts at once on the whole body, the transcendental topics of the Lord injected through the ear by the pure devotee of the Lord, as in the case of Prabhupada, which is, I'm just reading this injection, intravenous injection of nectar, pure devotee of the Lord can act very efficiently. Oral realization of the transcendental messages implies total realization, just as fructification of one part of a tree implies fructification of all other parts. So just through the ear is plenty. This realization for a moment in the association of pure devotees like Sukadeva Goswami prepares one's complete life for eternity. And thus, the sun fails to rob the pure devotee of his duration of life, inasmuch as he is constantly busy in the devotional service of the Lord, purifying his existence. So, a moment in the association of pure devotees like Sukadeva Goswami, who is perceived through the ear by the reading of the Bhagavatam, by the hearing of the Bhagavatam, is preparing us for our complete life in eternity. Because what do we know? Let's say we go to the spiritual world, and what do you do there? How do you know what you do? This is all preparation. We are reading about our future life, just like our next destination, just like one reads a travel brochure. If you want to go to Bali or Thailand or Japan or Brazil or Mongolia or North Yemen, wherever you want to go, you read about it. What do they speak? What language do they speak? What do they eat there? What is the weather like? What are the facilities? What are the laws? Are the things that I shouldn't do? Are the things that I can't carry? Yeah, this is something that we should investigate. So the Bhagavatam is basically a travel brochure for the spiritual world. And when we read it, we know what's going on there and prepare us for what to expect. So hearing the message from the lips of Sukadeva Goswami is what we need in order to adjust our travel plans. And some people do not want to go there. They object to it. They object to the supremacy of someone like Krishna. They don't know Krishna, because if they knew Krishna, they wouldn't waste a second. They think, oh, it's just the same God as the Abraham and Isaac and all the other guys that, is just holding thunderbolts and throwing them at people for no reason at all. A whimsical God that wants everybody to burn in hell unless they follow their instruction. No, Krishna's not like that at all. He gives ample opportunity for all the living entities to rethink and repent and try again. and rehearse as many times as you need. Krishna is always there waiting for the faintest sign of devotion in order to encourage everyone to come. He doesn't have favorites. It's not saying, okay, you're a horrible person, you're not coming back. No, he's expecting everybody to come back, but some do not want to. That's the perhaps disadvantage of free will, you may say. Oh, I wish I was a slave and I didn't have a choice, so I could go back to Godhead. Yeah, but you wouldn't be fun at all. Krishna doesn't want automatons, robots, yes people. He interacts with the living entities according to their desire. We are eternal individuals, part and parcel of Krishna, but we are individuals. We have different desires. We have different aspirations. We have different rasas. So Krishna wants that. He wants to stimulate that, not someone who comes and says, yes, 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 whatever, whatever. I have no desires. It's like sometimes we see devotees who, they have this humility, modesty that they say, Prabhu, whatever you want, I'll be your servant forever, and just tell me what to do. And I said, boring to have a person like that next to you. No, I don't want that. Krishna doesn't want groupies. He wants strong, independent individuals who have love for him. So I think I may have told this story before. Once, this I heard from Harikesh when he was a sannyasi, Harikesh Maharaj. He was serving Srila Prabhupada as his secretary servant, and Prabhupada had he actually told him in confidence something, what do you think? What should I do? And Harikesh, surprised by Prabhupada confiding in him and asking him his opinion what to do, he said, as probably many of us would in a situation like that, oh, Prabhupada, whatever you decide to do, you're a pure devotee, Krishna's, you will please Krishna. And Prabhupada said, that's very nice, but what do you think? And Harikesh said, Prabhupada, I have no brain. You have given me a brain. So whatever you decide, that is the right thing to do. I have no brain. I can't tell you right or wrong or yes or no. And Prabhupada said, yes, that's the right attitude. But what do you think? Well, Prabhupada, I have no capacity to even understand things. So how can I give advice to you? And Prabhupada said, yeah, very nice, very nice. Well, so what do you think? And Harikesh said, well, actually, and Prabhupada said, aha, so you do have an opinion. So this is at the very end, we are individuals. And Krishna expects us to express our opinion in a purified way. So all these books that Prabhupada said, read my books. He told his disciples, the problem is you don't read my books. So Prabhupada wanted everybody to learn this science, this art, this practice, this philosophy. Not some sentimental attachment, Jai Prabhupada, and you don't know the first thing about Krishna consciousness. So we are constrained by the boundaries of the material world, where time, yet cyclical, yet eternal, but is confusing because things have beginning and end. Whereas in the spiritual world, things do happen eternally, daily. There is day, there is night, there is eternity. It's not a boring place where everything, every day, okay, Rasa Lila again, really? Do we have to? This is not boring. It's more, ever fresh, is ever fresh. It gets better and better. Just like you cook, you make, I don't know, what do devotees like? Donuts, I'm sure. Is devotees like greasy, fried, sweet, unhealthy stuff. So donut is a perfect example. More goodness, yeah. It would be more goodness if it's healthy, but it isn't. So imagine you make a donut. Okay, it came out great. And tomorrow, more donuts. But this time, you make a chocolate sauce for the inside of the donut. And the next day, you make it with cocoa nibs outside. And the next day, you make strawberry jam for the donut. Just imagine. And this is just unhealthy stuff, changing every day and getting better and better. In the spiritual world, the pastimes may happen, but they have new dialogue, new nuances, and the emotions are like a storm of happiness going through one's body. So we are not restrained, constrained, circumscribed by time like we are in the material world, where everything begins and ends, usually in a sad note. Grandparents died, then the pet died, then the parents died, then the children died, then the whole dynasty died. And who cares? This was just an act. And Krishna is a transcendental actor. And we are trying to imitate him by playing an act where we have a family and friends and a neighborhood and a country and a president and all these things, which are absolutely irrelevant when it comes to our real life, which is to be with Krishna in the spiritual world. And we can start here because our consciousness is not limited to geographical location. We can be in spiritual consciousness, perfectly situated, performing service for Krishna directly, right in Juniata County or wherever you are. This is possible. Just like there was a pastime, I think, where Sanatana Goswami neglected to talk to some Vaishnava that came to see him, and he apologized later on because he was actually collecting flowers for Radharani in the spiritual world. So even though he was in a geographical location on this planet, he was not. So if we do things right, we may have the chance to serve someone who actually is in the spiritual world, and that person, by dint of their power and mercy, can take us back. So the association of Vaishnavas is crucial. Hearing of the scriptures and hearing the words of the pure devotee is crucial. Keeping our vows to have a purified environment where the body or the house is crucial. All these things are tools for us to reestablish our identity. Just like Arjuna's identity was to be an eternal friend of Krishna in the spiritual world, and his duty was to kill some of his rowdy and inimical relatives. We have some duty to perform in this material world, but we are not from here. We don't belong in the material world, and that's why with no material arrangements will ever make us happy. The only arrangement that we can make to be permanently happy is to reestablish our connection with Krishna through devotional service. All right, 11:45. Not bad for having no idea what I was going to say about time, which is inscrutable to me. Any additions, comments, questions, requests?
Well, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Um, it's so beautiful what you just shared with us. Very amazing. Sometimes, if not all the times, I believe Krishna speaks to us through so many different beings, or even sometimes from different inanimate objects.
Oh, thank you. That's how you call me?
No, 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 not at all. But I tell you today, Krishna, personally, like as I was listening to you, I could hear Krishna giving me some hints and uh, suggestions and ideas how to try to mold my spiritual life. So I can't thank you enough for doing what you just did. Arichakra Prabhu, you may unmute and go ahead to share your reflections or ask your question. I also have one question, but Arichakra Prabhu, you may go.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Prabhu,
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
All
This is
glories to
you.
you.
Is it? Okay, good.
All glories to you there, and all glories to Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Um, you made a lot of beautiful points. And I want a little bit clarification on this point. You made a point that like if you want to travel to like a place like China or anywhere, the best way to do it is first you read something about China. You find a brochure about China, you read about it, what they like, what they eat there, whatever it is, so that you'll be ready, you'll be prepared when you go there. So if that is the case, and then you made mention that something like the Shima Bhagavatam it's like the brochure that is teaching us what is happening in the spiritual world, how to live there, how to act. So if you read about the brochure and you don't enact it, you don't practice it, then how best can you actually practice it when you go to China? Which means your everyday the everyday practice of the brochure is very important, because that will put your consciousness in a level where you can easily fit it into the system. And if that is the case, then what do we call material life and what do we call spiritual life? Because we keep hearing and your material life. And I've read the brochure. If I have to put the brochure into practice, it's through activity. And Krishna also has said that that activity that you do, Bhagavad Gita before, that a person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities in which the consummation is absolute. So, if that is the case, then what do we call material activity? I want a little bit of an explanation there, if you can, please.
Thank you, Prabhu. That was very appropriate. First of all, I want to, even though subtly, I did mention when I said you read the brochure, you learn about the laws in that particular country. Like, for example, if you take a gun to England, you will be arrested because individuals are not allowed to carry guns, even if you have a permit in the United States. So in order to go to the spiritual world, you have to learn the laws. There are things that you can do, things that you cannot do. And this is not just laws, because at a certain point, Vaidhi Bhakti should become Raganuga Bhakti. In other words, that your activities, while in material life, as you call it, should become spiritual by design, by desire, and by execution. That means you already do things because that's your life. That's what you want. That's what you like. You're not, you've been practicing Krishna consciousness for so many years. So at this point, You don't need someone to tell you, hey, you should chant your japa. Hey, you should wash your hands after you eat or before you eat, before you cook, etc., etc. All these seemingly stringent rules, they're not rules anymore. They're part of your lifestyle. And there are things that you do voluntarily and with pleasure. You don't need anybody to point out to you what to do. So as we mold our life into Krishna consciousness, like when you go in front of the deities, do you think, oh, do I have to hit the floor again? Something you do spontaneously. You feel attraction and awe and reverence all in one. So you gladly pay obeisances to the deities, which for a beginner would be, oh, okay, this is what you do. And you repeat until it becomes a habit. But it's not just a habit. It becomes part of you. It becomes a pleasure. So going to the spiritual world, yeah, you read about it. And then your material life, if you do things right, in the beginning may seem like a little mechanical, but it will change. It will change. Even if you haven't attained the Raganuga platform of devotional service, some of the things that you do are on the spontaneous platform. It may not give you pure Mahabhav bliss, but is enough. Is enough. Is better than the alternative, which is to speculate, complain, etc., etc. Is that an appropriate answer to your question, Prabhu?
Yeah. Sure. But it raises another question too in my mind. Yeah, you perfectly answered the question to my satisfaction. But it raises another question. And that other question is like, sometimes you meet someone. I might be in Harrisburg. I meet someone. But the person I meet, the way the person behaves, the way the person talks, looks like a Ghanaian. But you ask the guy, are you from Ghana? He said, no, I'm not from, I don't even know Ghana. I've never been there. And I'm not even thinking of going to Ghana. But everything he does is like a Ghanaian. So in that case, is it also possible that someone might be here and the person's behavior might look like a resident of the spiritual world, but the person might not necessarily even be consciously be thinking of behaving in such a way to go to the spiritual world. So when it happens like that, do we write off the person that because he's not making plans, because he's not thinking of going to the spiritual world, the way he's acting, which seems like the description of the behavior in the spiritual world and all those, so he cannot be considered as a probable candidate of the spiritual world?
Well,
am I clear? Am I clear with my question?
I think sufficiently.
All right.
I think that in order to practice Krishna consciousness properly, one should also practice sharing Krishna consciousness with others. This is not a secret. This is something that you should share with anybody you see. Yaradeka Tarekaho Krishna Upadesh. You wherever you go, whomever you meet, just tell them about Krishna. So there is a certain person that seems like is naturally inclined, like a devotee candidate. And it may be so. Prabhupada said there are many of Lord Chaitanya's followers that they are spread throughout the world waiting for the Sankirtan movement to harvest them. How we harvest everybody already? Probably not. So if If he looks like a duck and he quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. That's my answer to you. If someone looks Ghanaian, has never been to Ghana, well, may have been to Ghana in the past life. So if someone is in a state of forgetfulness right now of Krishna consciousness, but looks like it has, is just under the skin, that under the skin is just superficial, that they are devotees, then they are probably devotees in the making. You never know. You never know who's gonna. I was running the Tallahassee Center, and in the late 80s, and three friends, 3 or 4, I can't remember. I think it were 4 actually. 4 friends, like they were young people. They came to the center all together on a Sunday, and I immediately could tell, oh, this is devotee material. Well, he's the only one who didn't join. All the other 3 did. So you never know. You never know.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you.
This is interesting. The one you very much suspected is going to be a devotee never became a devotee.
Yes. Yeah, he was, I remember his name, David. I thought this guy is, he's going to join. The other
Yeah.
guys I didn't pay attention to, and they all joined.
Yeah. That reminds me of a friend I had some time ago. He told me he had a dream of 2 ladies. He was trying to marry one of them. He didn't know which one to actually marry to. And in his dream, he saw he was marrying one of the 2. So he ended up marrying the one he married in the dream. And the one he married in the real life turned out to be worse than a witchcraft. And he lamented like hell.
Okay.
So, that's interesting. Hamsadita Prabhu, please see me on mute. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Your Grace. This
Hare
cannot
Krishna.
set my brothers and sisters.
Hare Krishna.
All glory to Guru Deva, all glory to Sri Prabhupada, and all glories to you.
I'm
And all glory
I'm
to the wonderful
I'm
account with this.
I'm willing to give you your first instruction as an initiated devotee. But this
Yes,
is formerly known as Bhakta Hassan. There is no H in your name.
thank you.
Well, there is an H, but it's just at the beginning, not the other one.
Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful class. Please, my question is that just a few days ago, I was speaking with one senior devotee in New Vrindavan, and he was explaining something to me which I need more clarification. And he do mention that usually ISKCON don't teach that, but that is the reality. Sometimes if, for instance, somebody leave his body, we say that this person is going to the spiritual world. And we keep saying that all the time. And sometimes we say chant, and if you do the right thing, you go to the spiritual world. But it is not like that. You have to go through so many stages. Even if you leave this material world, you have to go to another stage to be trained there. And you go to another stage and train again to activities that you are going to do in the spiritual world or in Vayakunta before you go there. That is, it's not true that if you leave your body, you go straight to spiritual world. And I was a bit confused about that. So if you can help me, if you have any idea about that, because he do mention that usually they don't talk too much about that, but that is the process. This is my question, Hare Krishna.
Thank you for your question. Well, when you say this person is going to the spiritual world, yeah, it is true. If but it may not be immediate. It may be a couple of steps. Like we would want to say, because there was a kirtan at the time of death, and there was tulsi and Ganga water in their mouth, and there was a picture of Prabhupada, and we want to believe that everybody who leaves their body in ISKCON is going back to Godhead. I'm not sure. I'm skeptical that happens immediately for everybody. Prabhupada said, even if you're 80% Krishna conscious, 70% Krishna conscious. I mean, he was showing that you could bargain a little, but not if you are, I'm 27.6% Krishna conscious, and I'm going back to Godhead because I'm going to have people chanting Hare Krishna by my deathbed. Not quite like that. No, there are some steps, but it's all good because you don't lose what you had. So you're going up no matter what. You're not going down. The problem is, and if we're full of material desires and we have this burning need for enjoyment that needs to be fulfilled, like sometimes you cannot give it up. You just have to do something which is is wrong, but at least it's going to get you off of the it'll get it off of your bucket list. I'll give you an example. I grew up listening to music, mostly classical music, because that's what my parents listened to. And eventually I learned about other types of music. First rock, then jazz, then world music, this or that. So I brought this baggage to Krishna consciousness with me. It didn't go away. It's just, there's some things that you can't give. Okay, I gave up eating meat. I wasn't eating meat before I joined anyway. That wasn't hard. But this desire to listen to music from different cultures, I could never give it up. So one day, I went to the library. I had to check out a book or something in Florida, and somebody they also lent CDs besides books at the time. Somebody returned a CD, put it on the counter on the desk of a person I was talking to about a book. That was David Byrne from the Talking Heads. Went to Brazil and discovered all these 1970s bossa nova music. And these are all the artists that I listened to and I grew up with. So I couldn't help it. It was like, I can't remember the name of the Muni that saw the fish copulating, or the one who listened to Menaka's ankle bells, and just his consciousness was completely taken away. So when I saw that CD with all these musicians I grew up with, I just couldn't resist. I became immediately attracted. Okay, so let a day go by. I just thought nothing of it, walked away. And then the next day, somebody totally unexpectedly gifted me that CD. Same CD that I saw at the library. The funny thing, I mean, I knew it was Krishna. The funny thing is I didn't have a CD player. So I kept the CD as a reminder that, Krishna is just joking with me. And is, but eventually I did get a CD player, and I actually I moved to Santa Barbara, California, and I got my own radio program, and I played music for 16 years. I play other people's music, that beautiful music, even Ghanaian music, believe it or not. And somehow or other, I kind of got this out of my body, that I out of my mind. I could not do it without doing it. I cannot give it up without doing it. And it wasn't grossly sinful. I mean, during my program, it was 2 hours long. I will play music, which I call the program Point Blank, because I wanted to draw people so close that I couldn't miss the shot. And after playing music for a while, at the end of a program, for the last 20, 30 minutes, I will read from Prabhupada's books or interview devotees, So I try to give Krishna consciousness. Once I brought people in with the music, I could give something different to them. And this desire would not have been gone away by its own. I actually had to give in. I had to do it. And I try to make it somewhat Krishna conscious. So we have, all of us, I think I speak, as a blanket statement, because all of us have desires that we don't know how to get rid of or how to make Krishna conscious, but we have to deal with them. So for those, Krishna will make an arrangement so we can enjoy, heavenly planets or whatever needs to be done, or learn how to serve, and then take us back. However, there is a danger, because after you see the deterioration of this world that is going to the dogs. There's floods everywhere, cheaters everywhere, crime everywhere, pollution everywhere, and mistrust and wars. So once you go enjoy what you had to enjoy, you may have to come back, take birth on earth again. And it's going to be a very difficult situation. It may be thousands of years that went by, and now the world is worse than ever. So practicing Krishna consciousness is kind of dangerous and difficult and austere. So I think we should take advantage now that we have kind of like a mixed bag. Why is that the demigods are lining up to take birth on this planet? Because there is no much to enjoy, and the suffering is temporary. So it's kind of like a good bag. But there is samples of both. There is, Hawaii, which is like the heavenly planets, and there is I read the story of a man that was working on a bridge, a construction worker, and that was probably 40 years ago. I think it was in New York, Brooklyn, or somewhere like that. And one of the iron beams that weighed tons fell on his legs, and they couldn't get him out. So basically, in order to take him out, they had to cut his legs free, because this was an enormous thing, and he was going to get gangrene and so on. Otherwise, so there was a doctor nearby, and he cut his legs off and saved his life. However, he had no anesthesia, and this poor guy didn't lose consciousness. So he experienced how his legs were being sawn off without any type of painkiller. So that's hell right there. So there is heaven, there is hell, but there's a mix of everything. And we can try to practice Krishna consciousness to the best of our ability and get rid of, somehow or other, of all these desires that they seem to bubble up once in a while. We're making ghee, and impurities are coming up, and we have to skim them every time they come up. And then at the end, there is also some fat at the bottom. You have to put it through a cloth and filter it. So it's a process. So Krishna consciousness is not like a overnight thing. I thought, when I heard about, becoming a pure devotee, that was the goal in Krishna consciousness. I hadn't even joined. I was a few days from going to the temple. And I calculated, it's going to take me at least a month to become a pure devotee. Funny, huh? Yeah, takes a while. It's going to take a lot longer than I anticipated. But it's possible. And you get to a certain point, and it's not just you. Krishna will help you out. You're extending your hand to Krishna. So at a certain point, Krishna will grab you and pull. Whatever you're missing, he's going to do the final push.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for the wonderful answer. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, and congratulations on your diksha.
Thank you so much. It's all of your mercy. I cannot do this alone without the mercy from all of you. So I'm so grateful. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, thank you. As always, I have this question about time. I once read one booklet from the Jehovah's Witnesses, and the author was making some argument against the teachings of ISKCON, because ISKCON says that time is cyclical. But this booklet was saying that time is one-pointed. It goes straight away and it never comes back, which, as we understand, in this material world, time is here, and time is here. One of the definitions of time, according to physics, is that it's progressive. It keeps going. But we also understand that we have the clock, which gives us time. And when we look at the clock, it is like a circle. I mean, today is Friday. Yesterday is past. Today is here. But yesterday, we had 12:17 p.m. and we still have 12:17 p.m. So on the clock, we can say it's cyclical. But in a life in general, it seems that it is not cyclical. So I just wanted to find out from you if you can help us with time being just irreversible, always progressive, and at the same time cyclical, at least on our plane here. Hare Krishna.
I think from a perspective of the body, which is what everybody, how everybody measures time, time is linear. It keeps going. It progresses. But things, as we read in the scriptures, are cyclical. Like Satya Yuga will come after Kali Yuga. And this is, and Kali Yuga is advancing at the moment. But it will get to a point that they will repeat, the ages will repeat. And we are all going to go into the recycling bin, the Mahatattva. So there's two conceptions existing simultaneously, and all depends on the perspective. If you have a material perspective and you base it on the body, yes, the time seems to work in one way. And if you're base it on the scriptures and what really happens, the cosmic time, then time is eating everything away and recreating everything. It's like a painter. The painter just paints something on a canvas and he's not happy with it and just, doesn't have another canvas. Then he just wipes this one out and starts painting again. So Krishna just does that. He paints and then he just throws a canvas and paints another one and keeps painting until there is no more paint left, which is, the analogy means when there is no one left in the material world, and that's the end of it. The art collection is finished. So we have to see where we stand, and then we can understand time. But these are difficult topics. These are difficult things to understand. It's not like, like basic arithmetic or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's very complex. It's very complex. Like biology, science thought they understood everything until microbiology came in, and now they're more puzzled than ever. Yeah, as you get deeper and deeper into even the material world, you see that things are coordinated, well thought of, intelligent, functional, and everything is working. So there's no chaos. There's no chaos. The construct is perfect, even for the material world. So the spiritual world goes on unimpeded. That doesn't depend on what happens in the material world. So once we connect, you see, it's like having a shortwave radio. If your antenna is not big enough, you will get certain stations. But if you build one of those very tall, like 100 feet tall antenna, you can actually listen to connections from all over the world. Signals will come in. So we have to build our spiritual life. Even though we are in the house, the antenna has to go up and up and up so we can catch the news from the spiritual world. And once you listen to that radio, then you should lose interest in the other stations.
Actually, thank you, Prabhuji. What you mentioned in your answering to my question about the yugas, that was exactly the argument this booklet from the Jehovah's Witnesses were making, that the Hare Krishnas talk about Chatra Yuga, 4 yugas, but time is linear, it's progressive. But when I read that, I was also thinking to myself, if that is what they say, then what do they say about the 4 seasons? I mean, now we are in summer. Some few days ago, we were in a different season, but the time is still going. So this simultaneous thing, like you said, it's kind of difficult to understand. I think both are there.
I did try to read some of the material I only read Awake and Watchtower, these little brochures that the Jehovah's Witnesses give. And oh my God, they have it so wrong. They have it so wrong. So when we were living in a house in Santa Barbara, people will come, the Mormons and the Seventh-day Adventists, people will come to the house, and I will just speak a few words, try to give him a little prasadam, etc. But when the Jehovah's Witness came, I told them, not interested, go away. And it's funny because they saw a picture of Krishna outside the door. So they send, instead of just listening to me and not coming back, they send a guy who spoke Hindi. When the guy came and said, "Aap kaise hai?" And I said, I don't care that you can speak Hindi, just get the hell out. Go away. Yeah, just there's no point. They're completely blocked from. They're, I would say, some of the most unphilosophical people I've ever met. So there is no point to discuss anything with them. This is all based on dogma, and they won't move. And they're very convinced. I mean, we should learn from them how tenacious, perseverant, and dedicated they are. If our devotees were like that, we will be spreading Krishna consciousness everywhere. And they're well organized, but unfortunately, they're as philosophical as the statue of a duck.
Yeah.
So
I actually thank you. I actually read from one of Srila Prabhupada's purport, very lengthy purport, in which Srila Prabhupada was saying, I will look for it and then share later on. Srila Prabhupada was saying, this is in regards to Hamsadutta Prabhu's question he asked earlier, that somebody was saying, actually, this is not taught in ISKCON. I don't think that is a fact. Nobody in ISKCON says that any ISKCON devotee who leaves his body just goes back to the spiritual world. But we know that from that purport, Srila Prabhupada states that there are some devotees here. It says, actually, in that purport, Srila Prabhupada says that one should serve God by preparing his mind and intelligence, using his mind and intelligence, because at the time of death, the way one has been able to prepare his mind and intelligence will send him to a particular place, either in the spiritual world or in a higher dimension or in a lower dimension. So the idea that anybody in ISKCON who leaves his body goes back home, back to Godhead, I don't think is so true. And the idea that everybody in ISKCON who leaves his body does not go back home, back to Godhead, I will go to a higher dimension to be trained and other things. I don't think that is absolutely true either. It's individualistic. Krishna can send someone right from here back to the spiritual world, or may promote him to another higher dimension to do more, to help other souls within the material universe to be able to go back home. That is just what, but I said I will look for the purport and then I will share. That is what Srila Prabhupada states.
Well, there's a statement, more than one actually, that it's hard to go to the spiritual world from the heavenly planets because there is so much enjoyment, and imagine the little enjoyment we have here is very difficult to give up. What to speak of if you have rivers of mango and heavenly damsels singing beautiful melodies, that will be a lot more difficult, and never sick. Everybody's beautiful, but someone who actually makes the transition, let's say someone who is a devotee and because of some material desires is unable to make the transition to the spiritual world, goes to the heavenly planets, I think for that kind of person, it will be probably easier to be philosophical about it. Okay, I had enough. Now I need to get back to my real business. So I think I speculate really that it is possible that there will be a transition where someone will go to enjoy. I've also heard descriptions of some go straight to the spiritual world, and some take the scenic route, to see what's going on in the different planets. So it's an individual choice, and Krishna reciprocates accordingly. Tam stataiva bhajami aham. There's no you don't go to an ice cream store that they have only one flavor. They usually have a lot of flavors. So Krishna's ice cream store has all the flavors. So no matter what you're looking for, Krishna has it. And if you need it for your development, Krishna is going to give you the choice. Like you go to, and I don't know in America, but in Italy and places where, there is gelato, there is ice cream places everywhere. And you can solicit a sample, or you can solicit many samples, and they will give you a little spoon of, with different flavor ice cream for you to try. Yeah, I want some of that. I don't want some of that, etc. So I think Krishna has very well sorted and supplied ice cream store for the devotees, with types of devotional service and where to perform it. And as your choice goes up, and you also, there is a price to pay, oh yeah, you can take this ice cream, but it's, has gold and macadamia nuts and et cetera, so it's a little more expensive. So Krishna will inform you that, yeah, you can take that, but it's going to cost you a few lifetimes, or it's going to be, a lot of struggle. Just like when, what's his name? Chitraketu Maharaj was offered a benediction because he didn't have a son. He was told there's a price to pay. Don't think this is free. This is going to give you a lot of pleasure and a lot of pain. You sure you want it? And he said yes. He had a choice. He could have said no, forget it. I don't want to go. The agony of losing a son. No, I don't want to go through that. But he said yes. Then, okay, take it. So I'm sure Krishna has a lot of stuff in store for us according to what we desire. And it's going to say, okay, this is the price of this. Do you really want it? Okay, take it. And you will get the sweet rice with the sand. You really want it? You want to taste this sweet rice? You will have to eat the sand with it too. So sometimes it's better to just skip it, avoid it. No, rather suffer separation, or that be brokenhearted.
Well, thank you so much, Prabhuji. As you're speaking, I'm thinking of some. I'll try to share two references from Srila Prabhupada. One states that there are some people who are eligible to go back to Godhead, but they also decide not to go directly. They also decide to visit other planets to just to experience what goes on there before they go back. And when I read that, I said, wow, that is interesting. And then the second one I would like to share too is where Srila Prabhupada says that some souls go directly to the spiritual world, and others, they are not eligible to go at the moment they left their body, but they'll be promoted to other higher planets where they will have more opportunity to serve the Lord.
Yes. That was what I was quoting.
Yeah.
Can I share something unrelated? As you know, I just wrote a book, and I would like to
yes, please, yes,
put the blurb on the chat for those who I don't know. I don't have everybody's email or addresses, so I'll put it on the chat. This is please don't expect the 13th canto of the Bhagavatam. This is a work of fiction. This is a parody, a satire of the story of a devotee who could no longer, live in the ashram and decided to get a job, move out, and he decided to become a detective. So it's a detective story where the protagonist is still a devotee, but there is not much mentioned because I wanted it to be to the general public. It's not written for devotees, but devotees can read it. It's not dirty or obscene or as I think it's funny. So here it is.
Yeah. I'd like to put this on the screen for devotees to see. So our beloved speaker has kindly written this book. I haven't read it yet, but I will eventually read it. And knowing the author as he's here speaking, the book obviously is going to be very inspiring. So this is the book. Blondes are people too. And of course, the author here is Sarvatma Prabhu. It could be gotten from Amazon. You can get it in a Amazon book. Yes, Amazon novel. So we encourage the devotees to try to get a copy. It's interesting because sometimes one thing I like about ISKCON is Prabhupada memories. And I learned so much from Srila Prabhupada's disciples that as strict and as serious as Srila Prabhupada was, Srila Prabhupada also had so much sense of humor. And sometimes we take our spiritual life so rigid to the point that there is no humor at all in our spiritual life, which makes it dry. There is lots of humor in spiritual life. So we encourage the devotees to try to get a copy of this book and entertain themselves while learning about life and Krishna.
In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that a yogi doesn't eat too much, nor too little, and doesn't sleep too much, nor too little, and has enough recreation. So I brought that. Brought that to the equation. Now, if you want recreation, I have something for you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Anyone else with something to ask or to share before we call it a day? Today is Friday. Those who are non-devotees, Fridays, they like to run very fast to the countryside for peace of mind. We are not running. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. I wanted to say something about what SARVATMA Prabhu said about the Jehovah Witnesses having so much faith in whatever they are doing, and that if we are able to copy that, that might help us so much in our devotional life. Yeah, because I remember in the late 80s, around 1988, there's this one Jehovah Witness guy who used to come to the temple. And sometimes I will have dialogue with him, but he never accepts the existence of the soul. That he always says that this body is the soul. So every day he comes, every week he will come out, and he invited me to their Kingdom Hall. And I went to the Kingdom Hall one time. We were, and during their sermon, it came a time that they distributed a hymn book. And so they gave me one of the hymn book. And whilst they were singing, I was going through the hymn book. And in one line, it was written, whilst they were singing, it was written that do not be scared of the one who can kill the body but cannot touch the soul. And immediately I had a pen with me. I underlined that. That thing. So after the sermon, I said, look, you always argue with me that is the body is the soul, but there's no soul within this body. That you always argue like that. But in your own hymn book, this is what I underlined. Look, it says there, black and white, that do not be scared of the one who can kill this body but cannot touch the soul. So why the difference? And the guy never came to the temple again.
just in their defense, I actually met somebody who was a Jehovah's Witness and became a devotee. I'm not sure they were fully committed or they were just the son or daughter of a Jehovah's Witness family, but there is hope. I've seen Mormons become Hare Krishnas, Seventh-day Adventists, Jews, Hindus, Muslims, everybody, so it's not like eventually they will, if they can't give up their identification with the body and all the social implications of it and all the carnal implications, then anybody can become a devotee. And actually, in the ultimate sense, everybody's a devotee. That's why we preach to everybody, because everybody is originally a spirit soul and part and parcel of Krishna, and they are covered by different layers. Some have more, some have less, but no matter what identification they have, underneath all that is the soul. So Hari Chakra Prabhu is right to point that out.
Yeah. Well, thank you all devotees. So beautiful, so beautiful. One thing I personally admire about these Jehovah's Witnesses is like Sarvatma Prabhu mentioned, their dedication. It's a top notch. Once you are a member, whether it is your nature or not your nature, you preach. And they have this strong faith that even as we speak, every now and then I will receive a letter from someone unknown, handwritten in ink. They just see my address and they will write it to me. And they will express whatever little they know from the Bible and express their friendliness, which is so beautiful.
Yeah, they're very
beautiful.
Personal.
Very personal. Very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you if you do this kind of thing, if you sit down at one of the places where they have all their brochures and books, in a corner, so you sit down with a suit, with your Sunday best, or go door to door, carrying stuff.
Yeah.
If we had our Sankirtan devotees doing that, and they got the result, same result as a Jehovah's Witness get, that they may sell a book a week, among 10 of them.
Yeah.
We will get them off Sankirtan and make them wash dishes and do backup pujari work. They will never go out if they sold one book a week.
Yeah.
You have to give it to them. They have great determination, which hopefully will be an impetus if they take birth as a devotee, if they somehow or other get the mercy.
Yeah. There's so much to learn. So thank you so much, Sarvatma Prabhu, for ending the week with us in such a beautiful mood. And we pray and hope that we can carry this mood through the weekend and come back next week, trying to hear about the glories of the Supreme Lord and his pure devotees. We also want to sadly announce the passing of one of our God brothers back home in Ghana, who passed away yesterday. He had been ill for a while, but his passing was kind of unexpected. It was brief, but from what we've heard, it was so peaceful. There wasn't much pain. Nobody expected that it was going to happen when it happened. So we seek the prayers and the good wishes of all the devotees to pray for a better transition of this devotee. His name was Bhuta Bhavana. And this is our humble prayer, that the devotees pray for this gentle soul, that his next destination will be much better than whatever he was having here on Earth planet. So with that, we're going to humbly request all the devotees to
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Yeah, I just thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class. And I just wanted to remind everyone that yesterday was our dearest mother, Yashoda Davis' birthday. So we're asking the devotees to keep her in your prayers and wish her well. Hare Krishna. She's on the platform. I think she's on the platform here.
Yes, she is here.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so Mother Yashoda Mai, we thank you so much for being such motherly and such an individual that anybody can relate to and relate with. You are very motherly and very much conscious. Sometimes I do not like to get too close to you because you're a little too pushy, but pushy in the right way. So thank you for being a sister. Thank you for being who you are. And if we have time, then we might say happy birthday song to our revered sister. Happy birthday to you. Happy
Happy birthday
birthday
to
to you.
you. Happy
Happy
birthday, dear
birthday,
Mother
Mother.
Yashoda.
Happy
Happy birthday
birthday to you.
you.
May you
May you
never
never
take
take
birth
birth again.
again.
May
May
you
you
never
never
take
take
birth
birth
again.
again. May
May you
you
never take
never take
birth
birth again.
again.
May
May
you
you
never
never
take
take
birth
birth
again.
again. Hare Hare Hare
Yeah, Hare
Bo.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you, please, for your blessings. Thank you for your love. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna. Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you so much. So, devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to keep your mics open and we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our deepest appreciation to our revered speaker for today, His Grace SARVATMA Prabhu. Jai. Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
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 Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Ancha kalpa
Tarikshascha,
tarikshascha
Kripa
kripa
Sindhya Evacha,
Titanam
Titana
pavanebhyo
Pavanibhyo
vaishyo
Vaishnavibhyo
namo
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 Namaha.
Ananta Koti
Haribo.
Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Jai.
all glories to
Haribo.
His Grace Sarvatma Prabhu ki
Jai.
all glories to Her Grace Mother Yashoda Devi ki
Jai, 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 Jai.
and all glories to His Grace Bhuta Bhavana Prabhu ki jai. Hare
Jai.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Thank you, devotees. Thank you,
Thank
devotees.
you
A
so much.
pleasure to
Hare
be with
Krishna.
you, and hopefully they will invite me again. We're going to Europe to the Baltic Festival and some other places beginning July 18th and coming back around August 20th. So I'll be available
Good.
after that if
Good.
you want to hear.
Good. Good. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you. All the best.